I think I had asked you about the textual variant in Matthew 5:22, without a cause variant there. I didn't find it in the index to your book, so I was just wondering what your thoughts were to that particular exception clause there in Matthew's gospel.
Did you say 5:22?
Yes, Matthew 5:22. Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the only exception clause I know of is in regards to divorce, which is in Matthew 19. So you lost.
Well, David Allen Black wrote an article, I think back in the late 1980s, saying that the reading there for the without a cause one that is in the KJV and the New King James Version has a wide distribution, or it has an Alexandrian, albeit late, but also a Western and Byzantine backing to it. But Phil Comfort and Metzger don't think, in their commentaries, that they're. I think Metzger puts the reading to the 2nd century, and I think Comfort puts it to the 3rd century. That I guess scholars prefer a shorter reading, right? And so David Allen Black was arguing the other way, saying that Matthew liked to put in exception clauses, for example, what you just mentioned about divorce, about adultery. So he was arguing that based on internal and external evidence, that there can be a good case that it wasn't just a blanket statement against all anger, because even Jesus exhibited anger at times, although carefully. But so that's what I was just asking you about.
Yeah. So. Okay. Well, what you've already read Metzger and Comfort, so you've already pretty much seen what the arguments are. Obviously, there's a much wider attestation as far as numerically for IK than for its deletion. It is not found in P64, the original hand of Sinaiticus, and Vaticanus, and generally, at least through the 27th edition of the Nacional text, if you have a papyrus together with Sinaiticus and Vaticanus, that will be sufficient as considered to be the earliest text. Unfortunately, we don't have P75 at this point in Matthew, because that would have really helped out a lot. As far as wide distribution for IK, I'm not so sure about that, because that's going back into the days of using the Western text as a standard, and there's really good reason to question the existence of the Western text today. That's what you've got in D there. You do have the second hand of Sinaiticus, but when that second hand is I'd have to look in Matthew to see what the date on that is. It's probably quite late. So you're looking at pretty much a Byzantine versus Alexandrian split there, and probably within 7 years, maybe, let's hope, we might have the ECM on this out, and it would be very interesting to see what CBGM is going to do with this. I'm not going to guess, but it strikes me that there would be at least a possibility, as I'm just looking at the manuscripts here, at least a possibility that CBGM would prefer the insertion of IK rather than the excision of it, just simply by looking at the manuscripts. But again, until that's actually run, I don't know. And that's going to be what's going to make the decision. Everything, to be honest with you, for now is on hold until the ECM is done. And at least I now have an idea of pretty much when that's probably going to take place. I hadn't heard anybody mentioning this before, but the goal is to have the Editio Critica Major done by 2030. So we're looking at another 11 years. That sounds like a long time to most folks, but for the amount of work that goes into it, it's certainly understandable that it would take that long. Does that mean we could have Matthew before then? I would think so. My feeling is the last books we're going to get out of ECM are probably going to be Revelation and the Pauline Corpus. So I would expect Matthew within the next 5 years, I would hope. And so it'll be interesting to see what they say in regards to IK at that point. Will they overthrow the combination of P64, the original hand of Sinaiticus, and Vaticanus together? Will they, because you really only have those three manuscripts with a few patristic citations and a few early translations. And so will it be made the main reading in the text? Good question. Till then, if you're preaching the text, it's good to make reference to the variant and to explain it to folks, especially because you've got folks in the audience, they're going to have New King Jameses and things like that. And it's always important not to lose folks.